Hey you guys, good to see you as always here on Grassroots Gardening. I'm Ryan, and this channel is all about gardening, plants, landscape, you name it. If it's green, we're going to talk about it on here. Today I've got a really cool video for you guys. Some of the tomatoes haven't done the best down here in the garden. I believe it's because we got a clay layer in one area that's kind of holding water, and they're just not doing that well. So what we're going to do is go up to the landfill, see what we can find to build us a raised bed, and we're going to plant Dad some more tomatoes down here. So come on, let's go jump in the Kawasaki Mule. Let's go see what we can find to build a raised container for these tomatoes. Guys, I had to stop real quick on the way up to the landfill. Now look, we had Mr. No Shoulders cross the road here not too long ago, and it made me think of a story yesterday. When I showed up to the nursery, I went in the back door of the greenhouse, and there was a little corn snake right by the door going inside the store. But if y'all know me, I am literally petrified of snakes. Like I can't do it. It's bad. I'm scared to even admit that. But I can't even watch them on TV. It's that bad. So I opened the door before I saw the snake. Then I saw it. Then I said a lot of cuss words. Dropped my Coke from McDonald's. Dropped the food, and the door was still open. So I was like, oh crap! I got to hurry up and shut that door before the snake goes in. Well, of course, the snake starts going inside the store. So I try to close the door just by like pushing on it, but the wind from the fan of the greenhouse pulled it open. The snake made it inside. I'm freaking out. I called the phone for Grassroots. I was like, hey, sorry, but there's a snake coming in the store right now. And of course they think I'm messing with them until they actually see the snake crawling inside the store. So I was like, well, just keep an eye on it, because if we lose the snake, then we got to burn the store down. There's just no way I can work here anymore knowing there's a snake hidden somewhere inside the store. So I had to go get Miss Jovi and Joy, and these women came to my rescue, because I can't do it, y'all. Well, true to form, my microphone died on me back there when I was telling you guys all about the greenhouse and the pallet collars that we've got loaded up here. But now we're over here. This is our good stuff. We trademarked that name. This is our compost blend. It has all of the ground up yard waste that we take into the landfill, as well as manures, chicken waste, and then we inoculate that with our proprietary blend of bacteria and fungi. Break that material down, screen it, then we add mini pine bark nuggets and sand to it to help with drainage, and it really is good stuff. So this is what we're going to use in conjunction with some of the Land and Sea espoma compost, and that's what we're going to plant our tomatoes in. All right, I think that'll do it. Hopefully, because we're kind of out of room and I'm kind of out of breath. So let's go see if that'll be enough to fill up our little raised bed. Okay, we've made it back down to the big garden. We've got our compost, we've got our pallet collars, which are gonna be our instant raised bed. I love these things, they're so cool. So now we just gotta figure out where we're gonna put it. And I think This area right here will be ideal because we've got the water spigot right there and it's already feeding our cucumbers, so we can just tap on later and put us a few little drippers in our raised bed right there. We get plenty of sun, a little afternoon relief, which the tomatoes will appreciate. We're already in the month of June, so July and August is coming. It's going to be god-awful hot. That afternoon shade will give them a little bit of a break. As long as your tomatoes are getting, they want full sun, I'll be honest with you, but it just gets so dang hot here. I think this will be an ideal spot, but 8 hours a day, 6 would probably be a minimum for good tomato production, so they don't get real leggy and that you just have a lot of fruit. So that's where we're going to put it. So let's go ahead, slap these pallet collars down and go ahead and get her filled up. If you know of any shippers around you, a lot of times these are actually a waste product, but they make it so easy to do a raised bed because they just stack right upon one another, and you're perfectly square. They've got hinges on them, and then they just stack again right on top of each other. Super easy, but unfortunately I can't tell you guys exactly where to get these. They are kind of expensive if you just buy them like right off a Uline or something like that. So always trying to find a use for a material that needs to be recycled, and this has been a great use for these guys. Now they're not treated, so they will rot after a little bit of time, but they just simply, this one's a little bent, but they just kind of, of course not right now because I'm videoing, but they really do just snap down on top of each other. Sometimes they get a little bent. We're gonna have to bend that metal arm out a little bit to get that one to stack right. Honestly, I don't know if we need any more than 2, so we could do us a separate raised bed for something else, because I think that's plenty deep enough right there. So I'll take that one with the bent metal and just throw him off, because we got to have some pliers, and I don't have any on me right now to bend that little tab out straight so that it'll stack good. So we'll just throw him to the side, and then we'll try this guy right here and see if he won't cooperate for us. But they just fold right out. They're really cool. There we go. That's how it's supposed to do, just like that. Sometimes take 2 is just all you need. Now I'm going to back up a little bit closer so that we can scoop in our good stuff compost, and then we're going to add the 2 bags of Espoma Land and Sea, little biotone, and we'll be ready to go. Let me make sure my microphone is still working so we don't have an incident like earlier, and we are. So again, like I said, we're going to use this Espoma Organic Land and Sea compost because they have added microbes to their compost just as we have, and like I always say, the more beneficial microbes and fungi, the better. All those guys down there are just helping to break down that organic material and make all of the nutrients available to the plant. So we're going to start off with some of our good stuff. And we're just going to scoop it in there, and probably halfway up I'll add some of the Land and Sea, and then we'll finish off with some more of the good stuff. And of course, when we plant, y'all know we're going to add our biotone plant starter. Dang it. Oh, this is trash. I keep scooping it out of the back of the mule here. I wish I was a more organized, clean person. Like clean the mule out after every time I use it. That's just not me. I want to be that person. I really do. Yeah, I just don't think it's gonna happen. We're about halfway. We're gonna spread this out. Let's go ahead and dump our first bag of Land and Sea, and then all of the fertilizers from their compost as well as our compost can get mixed in really good, as well as all of the microbes like we talked about a while ago. I'm gonna take my shovel and kind of spread that out a little bit. Oh, that's looking like a good mix right there. It's gonna drain good, but yet it's gonna hold a good bit of moisture as well. So let's go ahead and add some more good stuff. Then we'll add our last bag of espoma, and then we'll be ready to plant. All right, before we get too full, let's go ahead and add our second and final bag, just like so. And I think we're gonna add some Osmocote slow release fertilizer in this one too. This is not gonna be an all organic bed. I do love doing all organic, but I really want to push these tomatoes just to see what we can make them do and get us some nice big juicy tomatoes for tomato sandwiches. And I just want to kind of experiment and just see what that Osmocote can make these guys do. All right, let's put a little bit more just to get closer to the top of the bed, and we are going to be ready to rock and roll. Yeah, that looks good right there, guys. I like that depth. These things are probably 8-inch collars, so we've got 16 inches of root depth, which is plenty for these tomatoes. We're gonna go ahead, let's just sprinkle some Biotone starter all in here. Just add that good organic fertilizer. And then we're gonna top dress with this right here. Let me grab you guys real quick so you can see this Osmocote that we're using. So this is what we use a lot at the nursery for our containerized plants. This is an 18-5-12. This is an 8 to 9 month release. So really a lot longer release than we need, but I had it in the back of the mule, to be honest. So that's what we're gonna use. But it just kind of is coated different. The little pellets have different thicknesses of poly coating, so they just break down at different times, giving you a constant feed. It works wonderful. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and just take my hand and just kind of mix that Biotone all in the top layer of the soil, just a couple inches down, and then the water and rain and all that good stuff can take those microbes and nutrients on down deeper. The varieties we're gonna plant today, I've got, this is a really cool one, and I hope I tell the story correctly, but this one is Mortgage Lifter. And so the story behind it, I think his name was Radiator Henry. He was like a shade tree mechanic. He was cross-pollinating the largest tomatoes that he could grow. And through getting the seeds out of those tomatoes that he cross-pollinated, came this tomato here. It grows huge beefsteak tomatoes. Everybody loved them so much he was able to sell enough plantlets and seeds to pay off his mortgage, hence the name Mortgage Lifter. Pretty cool story. You can look it up on the internet. Hopefully I told it correctly. But these we're gonna grow, and we're gonna cull some of the tomatoes off so that there are only a few tomatoes left, like in the tomato video I did recently, so that she has to force all that energy into just a few tomatoes, and we'll just see how big we can get these things. We've probably got room in this bed for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 tomatoes, but I really want to take care of these and pay special attention to them and just see how big with the tomatoes we can make them get. So we're just gonna do 4. So we're gonna come into kind of each corner. We're gonna dig way down so that we can at least plant half the depth of the tomato. So something like that. Any of the limbs or leaves that are below the soil, we're gonna go ahead and remove those, and any that are touching the soil, like this one's right at soil level, we'll go ahead and remove it. And we're simply gonna bring our dirt right back up around that guy. And then let's go ahead and do another Mortgage Lifter right here. I'll go ahead and remove these lower limbs. We'll just drop him right on down in there, and to just cover halfway up that stem. This is real important for growing tomatoes, because what'll happen, it's gonna send out roots all below that soil line and give it just that much more of a root structure that can uptake water and nutrient. Now the other variety I have here, I don't have a tag to show you. This is a relatively new hybrid. It's been out for a few years now, called Ace 55. It's got a lot of disease resistant. I've not grown it before, so we're gonna try it this year and see what the tomatoes are like. And we're just gonna come back here and put him on this corner. We don't have to dig down as deep because he's not that tall of a tomato. Looks like we just need to get rid of one limb right there. And he's gonna be oh so happy right there. Then, let's see, what else did I get? Okay, now we've got a Brandywine. This is an heirloom tomato. It has a different shape leaf. They're kind of easy to distinguish. See how the margins are more rounded versus your common tomato. Again, this is an old heirloom, beautiful, big, kind of pinkish tomato. They are absolutely delicious, and we've already got some flowers on it. So we're gonna put him right here in this corner. He's a pretty tall guy, so we're gonna have to dig down pretty deep in order to bury half of him. So let's go ahead and pop him out of his container. Drop him way on down in there. Go ahead and get rid of this branch. And this branch we don't want to pull down because you can see it start tearing down the stalk. And then we're just simply going to backfill all the way around him. And then I got to take some of that dirt from the hole, and we're just going to smooth that out and level it all up. And hopefully these 4 tomatoes, as long as I can remember to get over here and attach that drip line, these are going to do really, really well. This media drains so good. You can just see how chunky it is, and all the sand and the mini pine bark just allows that water to get on through the soil. It stays moist but not wet, and that's the issue we're having in our garden, especially down towards this end and over yonder. That's why those tomatoes aren't doing well. And as we looked at in a previous video, that's why the peas and everything on this end, and the corn, look how much the corn has been stunted, because look at this water that we're holding. I think what we're gonna have to do is come in and build the soil up, or either cut a ditch in, and Jesus tried to do it when we had a bunch of rain the other day, just to get that water out of there. But we either gotta build up the soil depth, or we've gotta put an actual French drain over here to get this water out. Now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take about a ½ cup per plant with this Osmocote, and we're going to do what's called just top dressing with fertilizer. And that's probably only about a ¼ cup, and that's all I really want to do. So we'll put another ¼ cup around that guy, ¼ cup there, and a ¼ cup there. Now you can take and mix this in the soil a little bit if you want to. It's not necessary, because what's going to happen as the temperature has a lot to do with this too, but as the water comes and it's really hot, these little fertilizer balls are just going to kind of melt at different rates and feed over the next 8 to 9 months. I like to mix it in just because I feel like I get it closer to the roots, but again, the irrigation and the rain is going to do its job and take the fertilizer down to the plant roots. And there you have it, guys. Check it out. Our recycled raised container bed. Hope you guys enjoyed that little video. I'm gonna probably go hoe around a little bit in the garden and get rid of some of these weeds and enjoy the rest of this beautiful afternoon. I appreciate you guys watching so much. Leave me a comment. Let me know if there's anything you want to see, maybe something I forgot to say during the video. And always remember, the more you know, the more you grow. Appreciate you guys. See you on the next video. And look who showed up as we was getting done planting our tomatoes. So for those of you who didn't log out quick enough, you get some bonus footage. So every afternoon, Dad and Jesus come down here to feed the catfish and the brim. And hopefully, right over here at this next pond we go to, there's a giant alligator snapping turtle in there. Hopefully we'll get to see him too. We come, or Dad and Jesus come every afternoon, throw this food out, and the catfish and brim. Yeah, we got to make Jesus YouTube famous too. But the catfish in a little bit will come up here and just start. There was a big one there. They're kind of spooky, so I'll try to walk and talk as quiet as possible. Maybe we'll get to see one come up to the top of the pond. There's one. That's so cool. It's bringing back a lot of childhood memories of coming down here and feeding the fish with Dad and catching some of these big old catfish. And then we would take them and either fillet them and fry them up, or my favorite, make some catfish stew. All right, let's go to the other pond, and Jesus, that turtle better be there, because I already told everybody the turtle's gonna be there, so.
I hope it's coming.
I hope it's coming too, or else we're gonna have to throw you in to go find him. All right, let's see if our turtle is gonna come up and eat. He usually comes up next to the wall, don't he, Jesus?
Yep, it's right here coming.
Okay. Well, we'll just have to sit here patiently. Sit here patiently. I see some big cats. I don't know if you guys can see through the water as good as the naked eye, but I see some pretty big catfish. That's a professional catfish food slinger right there. Oh yeah, they're coming on up. You got a bunch of cats in here, don't you, Dad?
Yeah. And right here is the big one. Right here.
Oh, that's where the big ones come to?
Yeah.
I spooked him. Man, this makes me want to go fishing, Dad. Remember, we used to come down here and sit and bring a loaf of bread and cast that line out there, and boy, it wouldn't be no time at all. We'd have us a big old catfish on the line.
Then you gotta go to the bank because it'd be too heavy to pull in.
Yeah, you break your line, so we'd have to drag him to the bank and up on the grass. They're really eating good today, though.
Yeah, they are.
This warm weather, they're really active. That's a bunch of catfish heads out there, man. We're gonna have to put this as an undisclosed.
Oh, kingfisher went down and got him a fish.
Yeah, it might have been on the camera. I don't know. I got it on wide view, so we might have been able to see that. Old kingfishers love living down here. Dad, I'll have to bring my protective lens to go on this camera and do underwater like we did, me and Jackson up there in the mountains with those rainbow trout.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
Stick it underwater and look at them.
Mm-hmm. We had two
Call,
kings.
call that turtle up, Jesus.
Yeah, I watch.
Don't you have a special turtle call or something?
I don't know.
He said, "Here, turtle." Yeah, we'll call him up. Of course, now the day we finally bring the camera down to the pond, he don't want to show up. But he's a monster. We'll get him one of these days. But Dad, I reckon he's camera shy. We'll have to come back another afternoon and sneak up on him, I reckon.
He comes up about once every 5 days.
Oh.
He don't come all the time.
I guess we'll come back in 4 days then. Hopefully we'll see you. All right, guys, we're going to enjoy the rest of this beautiful afternoon. Appreciate you watching. What's my saying, Dad? Do you remember it?
Be kind to one another.
That's
Be kind
close.
to yourself and one another.
Close. The more you know, the more you
Grow.
grow. There you go. All right, see you guys later.